Hello, this is my new channel, so I'm going to be pretty rough when I'm explaining stuff at first because I haven't done this before. But I have some people been asking me to do stuff for this, and I'll be doing things on a few different vehicles. I got an 07 Z06, a 90 Mustang LX, and a 2018 Power Wagon. So I do a few things of those things, and I want to start doing videos for some people that well, sometimes there just isn't videos out there for things that you're looking for. It seemed like that was like that for me. Every time I want to find something, nobody had a video on that particular thing. So I guess I'll introduce you to at least this first car, and this first video will be about changing the 6-gear ratio on the T6 Tremec 6060 out of a ZR1. So this is the 07 Z06, obviously. The LS7 is gone. I had an issue with the cylinder sleeve crack on it, so I put in an LS3. I decided to leave it pretty much stock heads. I did transfer the clutch from the LS7 and the headers, and then I added this Magnuson supercharger, which I totally like this way better than a heads cam car. I mean, I put an LS9 cam in it, and I just pulleyed it up. I just put a bigger crank pulley on it from Power Bond. It was a 8.23, and the top's an 81. That's as big as I can go on the bottom and as small as I can go on the top. Probably put me around, I'm not sure yet, but it'll be between 12 and 14 pounds. We'll see how it does with that. And I just added some 1.8 Comp Ultra roller rockers, and they do fit under the stock valve covers, and I was able, after checking, to use the stock length push rod 7.4, but I did run from before. I had to change the 19X springs and 1132, the thicker diameter, bigger diameter push rods. All right, so here we got the back end. So I already took a lot of stuff off. I'm probably going to do more video of it going back together. But as you see here, I put all the bolts back where they come from, just so I don't lose the shit. Anyway, these bolts up here on the upper control arm, mine have 2 washers behind them. I'm not sure if all the cars are different, but I'm sure has something to do with the alignment. I've had this apart on and off multiple times, so I've never had an issue after putting it back together. Just tied the brake caliper up here to the duct. Got this the parking brake unhooked here, and the ABS. I still have to raise it up and drain the fluid out of the differential. So here we got the differential here, and typically you're gonna come under here and pull this out of here, and we can drain the diff fluid that way. And then up here, where is it? Right at the back here, you can drain your transmission fluid here. This is also a ZR1 transmission, like I said before. Reason I went with it is I just like the gear ratios or closer ratio, and the only thing I don't like is the overdrive on it is 0.67, and I like all the gears, and it doesn't really matter about the 6th gear to me. I mean, I could practically accelerate in 6th gear without downshifting. I'd rather just have a lower RPM on the highway. Anyway, the the primary reduction in the ZR1 transmission is slightly different than the Z06. So if you take the overdrive gear from a Z06 transmission at 0.50 and put it in the ZR1, you're not going to get a 0.50, which is good, because I really didn't want to go from I think it's a 0.81 in fifth gear to a 0.5. That would be a huge drop. It's still going to drop, but it's only going to drop to 0.567, something like 0.567, because the ratios are slightly lower in the primary part of the first gear set that comes in, that reduces the ratios, and then that's what adjusts the rest of the ratios compared to what each gear set is for that. So it won't be as much as a drop. Well, it won't be 0.50, which I don't want. And this also gives me an option. I might want to put 390s in here. So I have 342s right now. I'm kind of liking them, but I decided to, I used to run 28s, and I had 411 with the Z06 with the LS7, but when I had this motor and had the 410s, it was like there was no traction whatsoever. So that's why I changed this whole setup. Basically, it's like a poor man's ZR1. I mean, it's got the 2300, the ZR1 trans, and different. I mean, everything's like, even the exhaust, I bought ZR1 mufflers. So the only thing I don't have is the front fenders for it. Otherwise, it would be, you know, exactly the same pretty much. All right, so back here, I got everything unhooked on both sides, pretty much, as far as going out to the control arms. What's going to happen is this whole cradle is going to come down, and I'm going to leave the differential up there. So what I have to do still is I have to pop the axles out of the differential, and then take these lines, and you just feed them through here and just let them hang back here. It'll be fine that way. And I have these blue jack stands. Now if you do this on the floor, it's gonna suck. But so I have to tell you, getting a lift for this thing, night and day difference as far as you know, getting shit done. So I have these blue jacks here, and I set one underneath the transmission just to hold it up, and then I take the trans jack here and put that under here and just lower the whole cradle down. And then once I lower the cradle down, I put a sling on. I'll show this later, I guess, but put a sling around here and hang it, and I take this the cherry picker, pick it up, and then just set it on the floor, because I'm going to use the trans jack again. So if I had two trans jacks, I wouldn't do it. I'd just leave it sitting up there. Anyway, once that's out of the way, and then you got that just supported by the transmission jack, or the blue jack, just undo the differential bolts and just slide it out the back. It's pretty simple. One guy can manhandle it, especially if you're standing up. It's not bad at all. And then what I do with the transmission is I just have it on the that trans jack and just slide it back, just like you'd be taking it out of a typical engine. Depending, sometimes I might, if I want it to come down a little bit more, I'll take the that center plate with the gazillion bolts in it, the tunnel plate cover, and then the tube will come down a little bit more. But I don't know, it depends. I can't remember last time I did it if I needed it or not. So it's not a big deal. It's just a lot of bolts. Other than that, probably with this video, probably won't get to the part where I take it out. I'll probably split this up, because I don't know, most people do, and I don't know if I have to, like 10 minutes for each one, something like that. But yeah, I'll get on the next one, maybe I'll get it to where I'm taking this thing down and then getting it on the table. I'm not redoing the whole thing. I already did that last year And unfortunately, I built all these cars and I didn't video any of it, and it could have been a whole hell of a lot better and easier than trying to do it now. I could have done this already. So anyway, I'm just going to pull the back part off, and I'll show how at least you pull the first few gears off. Basically, when I'm taking off 5th and 6th gear, you got to do that anyway in order to get the main case off of the front cover. So you have to do this part anyway. So, and to tell you the truth, I was talked into doing it myself. I was going to have somebody put new synchros. When I got this transmission, 2nd gear was grinding, so I went ahead and somebody told me that you could do it. You know, it's not that bad if you're somewhat inclined with it. And actually, it wasn't bad. You just set everything on the table. I watched some videos, and yeah, it was pretty easy, I thought. Put everything in order when you take it apart, and just put it all back the way you took it, you know, took it out, and you know, have no problems. I ended up putting in those hybrid synchronizers. I will be changing 5th and 6th synchronizer. I did the reverse one because when I did it, I didn't know that those could be replaced. I mean, I knew they could be replaced, but not know that I needed to. I don't even know if they really need it, but I figured if I want to take that apart, I'm just going to do it anyway. So that way the whole thing will be done. But I would have done this 6th gear when I did it, but I didn't know about what part numbers and any of that, and I kind of wanted to get the car back together because I had just got the engine done, and so I wanted to drive it, so I didn't want a lot of downtime. Of course, I found out now, so that's how it goes, right? So yeah, I'll get back to probably the next video. We'll start taking this thing down. All right, so I'm about to drop the cradle now in the back. I'm doing it a little different than I would normally do it, just so you could see a little better. But I left 2 bolts in it just to check it, to make sure. I left that one, just a few threads, and then this one kitty corner over here. Yeah, right there. And everything's unhooked. The brake lines are disconnected. We got the half shafts out, and basically this thing should be just loose and able to drop away. I just got it on this lift here, so I am going to lower it down, and I'll be right back with that. Alright, so this is literally like 2 minutes later. So I got it dropped down. So when you are taking this out, before you drop it, there's a couple wires running on one on each side. So you have these clips here that you got to undo. These clips right here, there's 2 on this side. So it's a lot easier to show it. When you put this back in, you got these lining up pins. I mean, it's just going to go straight back in where it's supposed to be. So in here, here you got this everything out of the way now. So all I have to do here is, these are the cooler lines that go to the transmission. And one goes, I think it goes all the way up front. Yeah. So, and that's the pump in here. So basically I am going to take these 2 off, and then I can take the bolts out of the differential and pull that out, and then all that's left is the transmission. But I did not take the shifter out yet, which I have to do because you got the shift rod that comes all the way back from the front. It's a long linkage rod that comes to the back, if anybody doesn't know that. So what I'm going to do is, so I can lower the car, I'm going to take a ratchet strap here and come underneath and go to the other side and then hold it up with a big, you know, big tie down that I don't know, 3,000-4,000 pounds. So it's gonna be plenty. So I'm gonna do that to hold that up, and then I can lower the car and take that shift rod out, and then basically after that the diff and the transmission will just slide right out of here. All right, this is my concoction I have, so I can use this thing here. You know, when you work by yourself, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? So I just lower it up down here. I can just leave it there because I don't need any of that until I put it back up. So here's this. I got this ratchet strap that's holding the whole back of the drivetrain up for now. And then I will be lowering the car down, getting to that shifter. When I get inside of it, I'll and when I get the, I'm gonna take the like the center console top piece off first. I'm not gonna do all that, and then I can show how that comes off. It's pretty simple. Actually, the main thing is when you put it back, there's a pin you put in it to line it up so that the shifter's centered. But it's not a big deal. Just make sure the transmission's in neutral, and put that pin in when you put the shifter in. And sorry about all those lights. So yeah. So we'll be getting to that. So here we are at the shifter. Basically, you got to take the lid off right here, and take this center piece up, and that's it. And then you can get to the shifter, and then there's a couple pieces you got to take off. Shifter's right under there. I already took the bolts out. Anyway, you got these two here. And then that rod, it already fell off. I already took it off. That rod slides on the shaft and lines up. So when you put it back, I'll show you. But you put a pin in here to center the shifter while it's in neutral, and that will keep your shifter centered in the right position. So all I got to do is just lift it out of there. And I'm just going to set it on the floor. And that's all we got to do with that. There's your torque tube right there. So now everything else gets done underneath. So I'm back. I got the differential out. All that's left is the transmission. I'll probably hit that tomorrow. Don't really feel like doing it today. But there's the differential. And here is in here, so it's pretty easy to do. So basically all I got is the bell housing bolts. Well, that's what I'm going to call it, or whatever. The bolts, the transmission to the torque tube. And then there's one line up there that one's kind of a pain in the ass, because it's kind of got to use like a 90 pick to get it out, or back the trans out a little bit so you can get to it better, and then you can pop it off. And then just set that clip before you put it back, because then it's easy to put it back. It just pops in. So tomorrow I'm gonna hit it. Should go pretty easy. I'm thinking maybe an hour and it'll be out or less. So all right.